Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Smackdown. And tonight's Smackdown was hailed from Birmingham, Alabama. And I thought tonight's show, though it wasn't that good of a show, I enjoyed Raw much better. Raw was a much better show last night than Smackdown tonight. I don't know, it just wasn't that good of a show. Smackdown tonight, it was pretty boring, in my opinion. But the show opened up with Renee Young. She ended up introducing AJ Styles, and she was giving an interview to Styles. She interviews him about the handicap match at the Rumble between him, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And she asks, does he think it's fair that Daniel booked him in it? And Styles says, last week he was trying to be, sarcastic, saying, put me in a handicap match, with them. And he goes on to say there is a chance that he could beat the crap out of both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And he also says, he thinks it's not fair that Daniel made that decision. And he says he would fight both of them on the same night. And, Renee asks Styles if he thinks Daniel is favoriting Owens and Sami. Styles says, he doesn't want to get into the whole Daniel Bryan-Shane situation. And he says he can't allow Owens and Sami to take the WWE title away from him. And that, he's going to beat both Kevin Owens and Sami on the same night. Sami Zayn on the same night. And that brings out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Owens ends up calling Styles, the regretful or remorseful Styles. And he says to Styles that he has no chance of walking out with the WWE title after the handicap match at the Rumble. And he goes on to say that when it's said and done, Owens and Sami are going to be co-WWE champion. And he ends up saying that they're going to build SmackDown to be the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn show. So Shane McMahon ends up coming out and says that, he agrees with Styles that, it's not fair for him to defend the title against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in that handicap match. And then Shane ends up making a match tonight, and it's going to be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles in a handicap match. And pretty much that ended the segment. But I have to say, it was a decent, segment to open SmackDown. Then when the segment was over, we saw Shane go backstage. Daniel Bryan was there. Daniel ends up saying to Shane, that he made a hell of a main event. And we see them both, shaking hands. So and then it went to commercial. And then we had the first match of the night. It was Becky Lynch versus Ruby Riott. We had Charlotte and Naomi out there ringside. Also, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan also out there. And this match, it was your typical women's match. It was good seeing Becky Lynch in the ring again after a month, because she went on to shoot the Marine 6. So that's why the Riott Squad, took her out back in back in November. So, but it was a typical women's match. It wasn't anything special. Wasn't great. But Becky Lynch ended up winning the match with the disarmer on Ruby Riott to score the win. So, but match, it was, like I said, your typical women's match. Wasn't great. There was nothing special about the match. So, and then we had the next match. It was Harper and Rowan, the Bludgeon Brothers, versus the Ascension. Squash match. Nothing good happened in this match. just typical domination from the Bludgeon brothers to make them look more stronger. And they ended up, of course, they ended up winning the match. They took out Victor of the Ascension. And then you had, after the match, Connor ends up coming in, and Harper and Rowan beat down on Connor and take him out. So the match was basically nothing. Just a typical squash match. And, you know, for them to make Harper and Rowan more stronger. And then we had the next match, Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder. This was the first round of the United States Championship Tournament. And this match was okay. Wasn't, you know, great or perfect, though. But Mojo, I gotta say, Mojo in the ring, he does good as a singles competitor. I mean, these two guys were former tag team partners, you know, the Hype Bros. And Mojo delivered in this match. And Mojo ended up winning the match. So Mojo advances in the United States Championship Tournament. Bobby Roode was also out during this match. You know, he was watching it. And now Mojo is going to face Bobby for, you know, in the next round. Which we got after the match. Bobby Roode came into the ring, and him and Mojo had a little face-to-face stare down in the ring. So, but Mojo versus Zack Ryder, thought it was, you know, okay. Wasn't great or perfect, though. So Mojo now, you know, advances. Then after that, we had Jinder Mahal cutting the promo. We had him and the Singh brothers there, of course. And he goes on to say, oh, 2017, you know, was, you know, his year. And, you know, he was 400 and something days, I think, as WWE champion. And he says 2000, you know, he has his eyes on the United States title. He goes on to say that he's facing Xavier next week. And he says, you know, Xavier and the New Day are just a fad, and that the Maharaja is forever. It was just a little promo that Jinder Mahal cut. Yeah. So then after that, we had Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin coming out. They would bitch and complain on, you know, why didn't win the SmackDown Tag Team titles, why the ref, you know, come out and, you know, screw them of win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And Gable and Benjamin, Chad Gable says, you know, does anyone know what it takes to be a winner? And so he just, you know, is talking. Shelton Benjamin says last week him and Gable were robbed of the SmackDown Tag Team titles due to a bad referee. Gable ends up saying that he was in the moment, you know, because he was so happy that you know, they thought that they won. And he said, you know, he was hugging his child who was sitting front row in the crowd. Benjamin says, you know, a ref came down and reversed the decision. And, you know, Benjamin ended up calling that ref jealous. Sorry about that, but I was saying Benjamin ended up calling that ref jealous. And Gable says, you know, the ref stole their dreams. And him and Benjamin end up talking trash about, you know, the ref. And, you know, they wanted justice. They demanded justice. And Gable says, you know, that they didn't lose the titles, you know, because they beat the Usos last week, and that they only lost to Instant Replay. And so both of them end up calling, you know, that ref who was refereeing the match last week out. Daniel Bryan ends up coming out saying to both of them that they didn't win the match last week because they ended up pinning the wrong Uso, which they did. And he goes on to say that he stands behind the ref's decision. And Daniel ends up making the match, saying that at the Royal Rumble, it's going to be the Usos and the Usos versus Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. So and that pretty much was the segment. But the segment in general was pretty meh. I'm like, since when did they turn Gable and Benjamin heel? Like, that just came out of nowhere. I think they might have did the double turn where they ended up turning the Usos babyface, and then, you know, now they're turning Gable and Benjamin heel. I'm like, there was no, you know, story behind, you know, there was no story behind, you know, Gable and Benjamin, you know, why they're turning them, you know, heel. So, but the segment was pretty meh. Just, you know, making Gable and Benjamin heel with, you know, no story behind it. It was like, huh? It was just random. Very random. Sorry about that, but after that segment, we saw AJ Styles and Randy Orton backstage. Orton says to Styles that, you know, Styles needs to trust him, and that after, if, you know, he wins, if Orton wins the Rumble, he's coming after the WWE title at WrestleMania. And Nakamura ends up, you know, coming in and says, you know, not so fast. You know, I can't do a Nakamura impression though, but he says that, and he ends up touching the WWE title, and he says, "Good talk," and then he just, you know, walks off. So it was random though, very random. It was just a little backstage segment with them. And then we had, after that, Aiden English and Rusev were in the ring. Aiden was singing and said, you know, he says that they have an announcement to make. And the announcement was that Aiden and Rusev are going to be in the Royal Rumble. And, you know, as Aiden said, it's going to be the Rusev Rumble. And so they ended up having a match. It was Breezango versus Rusev and Aiden. And the match was pretty much boring, and, you know, wasn't, you know, good, or wasn't good. It was very, very boring. I mean, the crowd was behind Rusev and Aiden. They got, you know, chants, but the match in general was pretty boring. And putting Rusev and Aiden with these jobbers by the name of Breezango, just. Ugh. But Breezango ended up getting the win because Fandango ended up rolling up Rusev for the win. But the match was boring. Didn't care for the match. So, and then after that we had Daniel Bryan and Shane backstage. Shane says that he and Daniel are not on the same page, and, you know, he says that, you know, he doesn't like how Daniel put Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a handicap match with Styles at the Rumble for the WWE title, because he was like, oh, why do they have to have a chance, you know, at the title? And he's also not happy that Daniel put the Usos against Gable and Benjamin in a 2 out of 3 falls match at the Rumble for the SmackDown tag team titles. And then Daniel ends up, you know, saying, I forgot what he said to Shane though, but then Shane ended up saying, you know, he's going to leave Daniel alone. And so he ends up walking off. And it's just a little backstage segment with them. And then we had the main event. Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a handicap match. This was a decent solid main event. It was back and forth between them. You had Nakamura, Styles, and Orton working on Owens and Sami Zayn. We saw pretty much in the match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens tried so hard to get out of this match. And Shane ended up coming out saying that, the match, this handicap match, is going to have no countouts. So because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were, like I said, were trying so hard to wiggle their way out of this match. And later on in the match, you had Kevin Owens. He had a chair, and he struck the chair to Orton. And the match pretty much ended in a disqualification, which Nakamura, Styles, and Orton pretty much won it. But then Shane ends up coming out, and he says the match is, of course, now no DQ and anything goes, meaning that, weapons can be used, chairs can be used, anything. And so Shane ends up restarting the match, and Styles works on Owens. He keeps on hitting Owens with the chair, and Styles takes Owens backstage. Don't even see them after that. So now it's just, Orton and Nakamura working on Sami outside. They toss him into the post outside. Orton ends up hitting the stairs on Sami, the steel stairs on Sami, and then we see him slam Sami onto the announce table, and pretty much after that, Orton throws Sami back into the ring. Nakamura hits him. Nakamura hits Sami with the Kinshasa, and then we see Orton just hit Sami with the RKO, and they score the win. So Nakamura, Styles, and Orton win it. And pretty much they stood tall, and that, ended SmackDown tonight. So, but all in all, it was a decent, solid main event. So, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of SmackDown. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you all later.